Awaken your spirit chosen ones. Not everything written can be read, and not everything read can be understood. That's the paradox of the chosen ones. You operate on frequencies that don't come with manuals. While most people are decoding behaviors, you're interpreting blueprints written in spirit. You function in an unwritten code, one that doesn't fit societal algorithms, moral formulas, or logical frameworks. That's why people can't figure you out. You don't make sense because you were never meant to. You were designed to interrupt sense, to shift perception, not mirror it. Psychologists say humans naturally fear what they can't categorize. That explains the uneasy fascination people have with you. They can't label you, so they project, analyze, or gossip, hoping to reduce mystery into something measurable. But your essence isn't on their checklist. It's encrypted. You're the kind of person who says one sentence and accidentally rearranges someone's whole worldview, then goes home wondering why they're staring at you like you just cast a spell. And here's the twist. You're not mysterious on purpose. You just move according to codes downloaded from somewhere that can't be Googled. It's not aloofness, it's alignment. You're simply too multidimensional to fit into anyone's prediction model. One day you're silent and reflective. The next you're blazing with insight that sounds like prophecy. And even you don't know how you knew that. That's what terrifies them. Your unpredictability isn't random. It's precision from a place they can't access. So when people try to study you like a social experiment, smile. Let them write their theories and take their mental notes, because no matter how many times they observe, they'll never crack the code. You weren't written in ink. You were written in light. Number 1, you move by revelation, not routine. You're not the kind of person who wakes up every day and repeats yesterday's pattern just because it worked once. You don't live on autopilot. You live by download. The way you move doesn't come from habit or prediction. It comes from sudden understanding, that deep inner knowing that shows up out of nowhere and tells you what to do next. People who depend on routines find this unsettling because they can't chart your rhythm. They don't realize that while they follow calendars, you follow callings. You could be sitting still, appearing inactive, and yet your spirit is receiving instructions the world hasn't caught up with. What looks like indecision to others is actually divine timing unfolding inside you. They expect logical steps, plan, execute, repeat, but you move only when revelation hits. That's why your progress looks strange to them. It's not consistent, it's precise. You don't take random opportunities, you take ordained ones. This way of living confuses those who rely on external validation. They measure success by activity, but you measure it by accuracy. You've learned that doing more doesn't mean becoming more. You could miss nothing for months and then move once, and that one move changes everything. It's not procrastination, it's preparation at a spiritual level. When you live by revelation, people will call you unpredictable, even lazy or inconsistent. But truthfully, you're just tuned differently. You're led by something that doesn't operate on deadlines or pressure. You understand that divine instruction doesn't arrive on human schedule. It arrives when alignment is perfect. That's why you're calm when others rush. You trust what they can't hear. You're not trying to be mysterious or dramatic. You're simply listening to something deeper than logic. You wait until the frequency matches before you act. And when it does, your movement carries the kind of impact that routine can never manufacture. You don't follow patterns, you reveal purpose, one revelation at a time. Number 2, your logic doesn't come from logic. You process life differently. You don't rely on reason alone. Your understanding comes from a deeper place that logic can't always reach. You sense truth before facts confirm it. While others need proof to believe, you often believe first and watch proof appear afterward. That's what separates you. You don't follow the path of analysis. You follow the current of awareness. It's not that you reject logic. You've just outgrown its limitations. Logic is useful, but it's slow. Your intuition moves faster. People who depend on logic alone can't stand that kind of flow. They want reasons, explanations, and guarantees before they act. You, on the other hand, can receive one quiet nudge in your spirit and know it's right, even when it doesn't make sense to anyone else. And the crazy part is, it usually works out in ways no one could predict. That's because your decisions aren't built on calculation. They're built on connection. You're connected to something that sees beyond the visible. This makes others question you. They'll say you're impulsive, unrealistic, or even strange. But what they don't see is the precision in your so-called irrationality. You can feel what's true long before it's logical to agree with it. It's not fantasy, it's foresight. The same people who doubt you at first end up calling you lucky when everything aligns later, not realizing that what they call luck is actually discernment in motion. Your kind of wisdom can't be taught in classrooms or downloaded from data. It comes from tuning in, not tuning out. It's born from silence, faith, and spiritual sensitivity. You know when something's off without having to investigate it. You know when something's right without needing reassurance. That's why you don't chase explanations anymore. You've learned that truth doesn't always come with reasoning attached. Your logic doesn't come from logic because your source isn't mental. It's divine. You're not trying to be deep. You just hear differently. And while the world debates the evidence, you're already walking in the outcome. Number 3, you don't chase relevance. You redefine reality. You're not here to fit into what already exists. You're here to shift what exists into something new. Most people spend their lives trying to be seen, heard, or approved by systems that were never built for them. You, on the other hand, stopped chasing relevance the moment you realized the system itself is outdated. You don't compete for space in their world. You quietly build your own. That's why your presence unsettles people who depend on trends to feel alive. You don't move with trends. You move with truth. Relevance is temporary. It's built on attention, which fades fast. But reality, the kind you shape, endures. You've never been interested in being popular because you understand that popularity is just noise that people mistake for influence. Influence doesn't come from how loud you are. It comes from how authentic you remain when the crowd changes its mind. You're not performing for the moment. You're anchoring something timeless. That's why people can't place you. You don't follow the rhythm they expect. You might disappear for a while, then reappear with something so evolved it feels ahead of its time. While everyone else fights to stay relevant, you're already redefining what relevance means. You've learned that true power is not in being noticed, it's in being undeniable. This mindset threatens those who build their identity around being in. They don't realize that what's in is often imprisoned by expectation. You've stepped out of that cage completely. You don't need validation to verify your value. You know who you are, and because of that, you become the reference point others secretly study. You redefine reality every time you choose integrity over imitation, purpose over popularity, and depth over display. You're not trying to impress the timeline, you're rewriting the storyline. While others scramble for relevance, you're busy becoming the reason the world has to update its definition of it. Number 4, you speak energetically, not verbally. Your real communication doesn't happen through what you say. It happens through what you carry. People sense you before they truly hear you. Your energy speaks a full sentence before your mouth opens. There's something about your presence that translates meaning faster than language ever could. Some people feel peace around you without knowing why. Others feel discomfort for the same reason. Your energy tells the truth, even when your lips stay still. You don't have to over-explain yourself because your vibration already does it. The way you walk into a room, the calm you hold, or even the silence you maintain shifts the atmosphere. People pick up on it unconsciously. They'll either align with it or react against it, but they can't ignore it. That's why you've noticed how certain people become defensive, uneasy, or overly talkative in your presence. They're responding to something they can't name but can definitely feel. This is the kind of communication that can't be rehearsed or imitated. You can't fake energy. Words can be dressed up, but vibration exposes intention. Your energy carries truth that doesn't need translation. It speaks directly to the spirit, not the surface. That's why even when your words are simple, they land with unusual depth. You could say one line that someone else has said 100 times, but when you say it, it hits differently, because the transmission behind it is pure. Your gift isn't in talking more, it's in resonating deeper. You've learned that frequency is more powerful than vocabulary. You could walk away from an argument and still make your point because your energy already settled it. That's why people replay conversations with you in their minds long after you've left. You didn't just speak to their ears, you spoke to their core, and that's the kind of communication only those aligned with higher awareness ever master. Number 5, you see the pattern beneath the persona. You've learned that people can disguise their words, their tone, even their intentions, but they can't disguise their energy. You don't just listen to what someone says, you listen to what their vibration is confessing. While others get distracted by smiles, gestures, and charm, you're quietly picking up on inconsistencies in frequency. You notice the pause between words, the subtle shift in tone, the energetic static that reveals what they're trying to hide. That's why it's almost impossible for anyone to deceive you for long. You sense the truth before it's spoken. You've stopped being impressed by credentials and charisma because you've seen too many polished masks covering empty motives. You no longer take people at face value. You take them at frequency value. You recognize when someone's energy doesn't match their presentation. They might speak love, but radiate control. They might act confident, but carry fear. You don't call it out. You just quietly take note and adjust your access. That's the wisdom of someone who's learned to see beyond the script. This ability can be both empowering and lonely. It's empowering because it protects you from manipulation. But it can feel lonely because once you start seeing patterns, it's hard to unsee them. You start realizing how much of human interaction is performance, how many people are acting out identities they don't even believe in anymore. You can't pretend not to notice. And so you become more discerning, not out of judgment, but out of clarity. Your gift isn't suspicion, it's perception. You don't expose people, you simply observe. You understand that energy never lies. Every interaction leaves a trail, and you've mastered the art of tracing it back to intention. That's why people either feel deeply safe or deeply nervous around you. You're not reading their personality, you're reading their pattern. And the truth is, that's a language very few are fluent in. Number 6, you're moved by alignment, not approval. You no longer move just to be liked, noticed, or accepted. You've outgrown the need to impress because you've learned that approval is a currency that costs your authenticity. You act from a place of alignment, that quiet inner certainty that tells you when something is right, even if no one else understands it. Your compass isn't people's opinions, it's spiritual coherence. You don't follow trends, you follow truth, and that makes you unpredictable to those who depend on external validation to feel secure. When you move in alignment, your actions often look rebellious to those who worship conformity. They think you're being difficult, arrogant, or detached. But what you're actually being is free. You don't explain yourself anymore because you know explanation is often a disguised request for permission. You've realized that your obedience to the unseen will sometimes require disobeying what's familiar, and that's uncomfortable for people who find their worth in belonging, not in being. You've stopped measuring your worth by applause because you've seen how easily crowds can change their tune. What matters to you now is integrity, the feeling that your choices match your spirit, not just your circumstances. You could walk away from an opportunity that everyone else calls huge if it doesn't resonate with your inner rhythm. You're not afraid to be misunderstood because peace is more valuable to you than perception. Living this way takes courage. It means disappointing people who expect you to move by their script. It means being called distant when you're just discerning. But it also means living in sync with something higher, and that alignment produces results that approval never could. You don't chase connection anymore, you attract resonance. You move where your spirit feels congruent, not where your ego feels celebrated. And that's what separates you. You're not driven by who claps for you, but by what calls you. Number 7, you live in timing, not time. You don't rush to meet deadlines that don't align with destiny. While others panic about schedules, you're tuned to something subtler, divine timing. People often mistake your calm for carelessness, but you've learned that being early in spirit is better than being on time in fear. You move when the signal inside you turns green, not when the crowd starts shouting, "Go." That inner synchronization isn't laziness or indecision. It's mastery. You've discovered that timing is spiritual precision, not social punctuality. To those who live by the clock, you seem unpredictable. They can't grasp how you can pause in moments that look urgent and then move instantly when everything appears still. But that's because you don't live by visible order. You live by invisible rhythm. You know that one right moment can accomplish what 1,000 rushed moves never could. The world moves fast, but speed doesn't equal alignment. You're not trying to be fast, you're trying to be right. People who don't understand timing often chase what isn't ready. They plant seeds and dig them up the next day to check if they're growing. You've learned to wait without worry. You trust that when divine calibration completes its cycle, everything that's meant for you arrives effortlessly, almost as if it was waiting for you to catch up. That's not coincidence. That's synchronization. Living by timing also means you don't envy others' progress. You know every destiny unfolds on its own clock. What looks like delay to others is actually your spirit refusing to move out of sync. You'd rather arrive aligned than arrive applauded. And when you finally move, everything fits. The doors open smoothly, the people align naturally, and what once felt delayed suddenly looks perfectly designed. That's because you've never been behind. You've just been moving to a rhythm only the wise can hear. Number 8, you can't be predicted because you're not performing. You stopped living for the spotlight the moment you realized it was blinding you. You're not here to impress anyone. You're here to embody something real. People can't predict you because your choices aren't rehearsed, they're revealed. You move from authenticity, not from audience reaction. That's why no one can map your next step. You don't play roles, you shift realities. You don't live on stage, you live in flow. Predictability is the language of those who perform for validation. They repeat patterns that guarantee applause. But you're not chasing applause, you're chasing accuracy. You don't care about being understood immediately. You care about being aligned eternally. When ego is the driver, behavior becomes predictable. Seek approval, repeat success, avoid criticism. But when the ego dies, the pattern dissolves. Your moves come from presence, not programming. That's why you confuse people who think you should follow the same rules they do. They call you inconsistent, but in reality, you're evolving. You can't be pinned down because your direction changes with your growth. You don't move for aesthetics. You move for alignment. Your yes today might become your no tomorrow if the energy shifts, and you don't apologize for that. You're not flaky, you're fluid. You follow where truth leads, even when it changes form. This is what separates those who act from those who transform. Performers need scripts. You move on signal. You could disappear for months, then reappear transformed, not because you're hiding, but because you are updating internally. People who seek to figure you out never can, because there's nothing static about you. You're not a character, you're a current. And that's why they can't trace your formula. There isn't one. You don't repeat patterns, you rewrite them. The moment ego leaves the room, mystery enters. You're not unpredictable by accident. You're unpredictable by design, because authenticity never performs. It simply becomes. Number 9, you carry codes, not just gifts. What you have isn't just talent, it's transmission. Your abilities carry frequencies that go beyond entertainment or skill. They activate people. When you speak, write, create, or even simply exist in your truth, something deeper happens in those who are meant to receive it. You're not here to showcase, you're here to awaken. That's why your presence doesn't attract everyone, it attracts the right ones. Your energy isn't designed for mass appeal. It's designed for precise activation. Some people feel deeply moved by you and can't explain why. Others get uncomfortable, confused, or even dismissive. It's not about who's better, it's about resonance. Your codes aren't meant for everyone. They're spiritual encryption, and only those whose frequency matches yours can decode the message. The rest will hear the sound, but miss the signal. And that's perfectly fine. You weren't created to please crowds. You were sent to unlock consciousness. Your gift might look ordinary on the surface, your art, your words, your work, your way of seeing life. But it carries an unseen signature. Each time you share it, you plant a piece of divine data in the atmosphere. People who are ready will feel it awaken something ancient inside them, an awareness, a memory, a sense of purpose. Those who aren't ready will dismiss it, because truth always sounds strange until it becomes familiar. That's why you can't compare your path to anyone else's. You're not competing in the same arena. You're not a performer. You're a messenger coded with frequencies of transformation. Your gift doesn't just do something, it transmits something. And though not everyone will understand you, those who do will never forget how your presence shifted something in them. You weren't sent to be popular, you were sent to be catalytic. You carry codes wrapped in human form, and every time you walk in authenticity, those codes begin to unlock the world around you. Number 10, your energy forces. Truth to reveal itself. You don't have to call anyone out. Your very presence does it for you. The energy you carry operates like a mirror that shows people who they really are, not who they pretend to be. When you walk into a space, things that were hidden start surfacing. Pretenses start cracking. Lies suddenly feel heavy. It's not because you're judging anyone. It's because your light is too authentic for deception to stay comfortable. Your spirit naturally exposes what doesn't align with truth. People often feel uneasy around you, not because you've done anything wrong, but because your energy refuses to participate in illusion. You don't tolerate double faces or half-truths, and without saying a word, you make others feel the weight of their own inconsistency. It's not confrontation, it's calibration. Your vibration demands honesty, and anything fake starts to tremble in its presence. That's why those with pure intentions feel peace around you, while those hiding motives often feel restless. The light within you isn't decorative, it's investigative. It's not the kind that merely brightens a room. It scans it. It reveals hidden motives, exposes manipulation, and dismantles masks that people didn't even know they were wearing. You've probably noticed how people start confessing things to you out of nowhere, or how truths come to light shortly after you show up. That's not coincidence, that's energetic law. When authenticity enters a space, falsity can't maintain its structure. Your energy doesn't force truth violently. It draws it out naturally. You're a frequency of alignment, and anything not built on integrity begins to crumble near you. That's why some people avoid you, not because they dislike you, but because your presence activates accountability. You make people face themselves without ever needing to confront them. You don't chase exposure, you embody illumination. And that's why truth can't help but reveal itself around you. It recognizes its own reflection. Number 11, you're fluent in what can't be taught. There's a kind of knowing you carry that no classroom could ever give you. It's not learned through lessons. It's absorbed through experience, revelation, and encounter. You understand things that others still need explained, not because you studied more, but because your spirit remembers. You've been through situations that became sacred teachers. Pain, silence, loss, intuition. These were your professors. Life initiated you into wisdom that can't be printed on paper or graded on a scale. You speak from a place that books can only describe, but never replicate. There's an authority in your insight that makes people stop and listen, even if they don't fully grasp it. That's because you don't talk from theory. You talk from transformation. You didn't learn truth. You became it through experience. You've been refined by moments that stripped away pretense and left you with revelation. That's why your words carry weight. They're not borrowed, they're embodied. This kind of knowledge can't be passed down through instruction because it requires encounter. You had to walk through certain darkness to understand light in its full dimension. You had to lose things you once thought were essential to gain clarity that can't be shaken. It wasn't taught. It was transferred through divine timing, often painfully, always purposefully. That's why your understanding feels ancient, because it is. It didn't start with you, it awakened in you. People who rely only on logic often try to debate what you simply know. They can't wrap their minds around how you arrive at truth without traditional process. But that's the beauty of divine fluency. It doesn't translate into academic language. It's felt, not formatted. You're fluent in the mysteries that can't be explained, only experienced. You didn't graduate from a system, you evolved through revelation, and that's what makes your wisdom rare. It's not information, it's initiation. Number 12, you confuse them because you don't compete. You disorient people who are built on rivalry because you operate from a realm where competition doesn't exist. You're not trying to outshine anyone. You're too focused on being authentic to even notice who's watching. In a world addicted to comparison, your calm indifference to hierarchy feels like rebellion. People don't know how to categorize someone who doesn't need to prove their worth. They measure life through victory and defeat. You measure it through alignment and peace. That alone makes you unreadable to those trapped in performance. You win simply by being, and that breaks every rule of the ego's game. You're not chasing titles or trying to be better than. You're not moved by who's ahead or behind because you understand that no one's race looks the same. Your journey is internal, and your victories are invisible to most. Growth, clarity, freedom, stillness. You've learned that real power isn't about dominating others, it's about mastering yourself. That's something no trophy can symbolize. People who operate through comparison will always misunderstand your confidence. They'll call it arrogance because they can't comprehend assurance that isn't built on validation. They'll assume you're competing silently because that's all they know, the constant need to measure, prove, and outperform. But your energy doesn't play those games. You've outgrown the scoreboard. You move in purpose, not pressure. And that's why you confuse them. They can't track someone who doesn't chase the same prize. They don't understand how peace could be your ambition or how not reacting could be your greatest victory. You're unshakable because you've realized there's no race when you're in your lane. You don't fight for position, you align with mission. While others burn out chasing visibility, you keep expanding effortlessly, not by competition, but by completion. You don't conquer people, you complete purpose. And that's a kind of winning they'll never fully grasp. Number 13, you move through realms, not rooms. When you step into a space, you're not just another person entering a room. Something shifts on a level people can feel but can't explain. You don't just occupy a chair or stand in a corner. Your spirit expands into the atmosphere and rewrites the environment. You carry a presence that stretches beyond walls and dimensions. Your existence has layers, and only one of those layers is the body everyone sees. The rest operates in realms many haven't even discovered yet. That's why some people stare without knowing why. They sense movement happening beyond physical sight. It's not drama, it's energy. You bring clarity into confusion, peace into chaos, and truth into denial without saying a single word. It's as if the room recalibrates itself to accommodate your vibration. That's what happens when someone is spiritually awake. The environment doesn't influence you. You influence the environment. People often misread this. They might think you're quiet, reserved, or detached, but in reality, you're busy doing work on a level they can't measure. While they're engaged in surface-level conversations, you're picking up spiritual signals, sensing intentions, and decoding the invisible dynamics at play. You're not disengaged. You're fully engaged in a world they don't even realize is present. Your influence isn't loud, but it's undeniable. You can walk into a place where tension is thick, and suddenly people start calming down without knowing what changed. Or you enter a room full of hidden agendas and suddenly truth starts tripping out of people's mouths. Your frequency is a catalyst. Everything hidden begins to reorganize itself when you arrive. This isn't about superiority. It's about sensitivity. Your spiritual awareness allows you to navigate layers of existence others haven't opened their eyes to. You might be having a normal day, but your spirit is busy shifting atmospheres, protecting energy, breaking stagnant patterns, and elevating the environment. And you do all this naturally, not by force, but by alignment. You don't simply enter rooms. You activate realms. Your presence is a portal where transformation begins. That's why nothing stays the same after you arrive. The entire atmosphere adjusts to the level of your truth. Number 14. Your mystery is your mastery. You've learned the sacred art of restraint, the ability to hold truth without the need to display it. People often mistake your mystery for arrogance, coldness, or secrecy, but it's none of those things. It's discipline. You understand that revelation without readiness breeds distortion, so you guard what's holy until it's time. You don't hide because you're insecure. You withhold because your process is sacred. You've outgrown the urge to prove yourself. You know that the loudest person in the room rarely holds the most wisdom. They just crave the most validation. Your silence isn't emptiness, it's encryption. You carry knowledge and insight that operate like spiritual technology, potent, powerful, and easily misused by those not ready to handle it. So you protect it with discernment. You don't hand divine blueprints to people who only want decoration. You've seen what happens when wisdom is exposed too early. It gets mocked, misunderstood, or manipulated. You've learned that not everyone deserves access. Some need distance to mature before they can value depth. People interpret your privacy as aloofness because they're used to oversharing being mistaken for authenticity. But your mastery is in knowing when to reveal and when to remain quiet. You understand timing, context, and energy. You know that truth released prematurely becomes noise, and that silence in the right season can be prophetic. What they call mystery is actually your method. You don't chase attention because your validation comes from alignment. You let your presence, your work, and your evolution speak for you. And while others exhaust themselves trying to explain who they are, you move in quiet certainty, knowing that those meant to understand will simply feel it. You're not concealing, you're cultivating. You're not distant, you're discerning. Your mystery isn't a wall, It's wisdom. It's how you protect the sacred within you from being handled carelessly. And that's not secrecy. That's spiritual mastery in its highest form. Conclusion. The chosen ones operate on a level most people can't perceive. Every step you take, every word you don't speak, every pause you hold, it's all part of a frequency that transcends understanding. You move by revelation, guided by an inner compass that ignores logic yet never fails. You don't chase relevance, applause, or approval. You redefine reality and shift energy simply by existing. People can't predict you because you don't perform, you become. You carry codes that awaken, light that exposes, and wisdom that can't be taught. Your alignment is your power, your timing is precise, and your mystery is mastery. You aren't meant to be understood by everyone, and that's your strength. The confusion, awe, or admiration you inspire in others isn't a reflection of them. It's a reflection of how deeply you operate beyond ordinary perception. Every room you enter, every energy you influence, every boundary you maintain isn't by accident. It's the mark of someone who walks in truth, discipline, and divine calibration. You've transcended the need to perform, compete, or explain. Your existence alone rewrites patterns, awakens awareness, and shifts realities. This is the life of the chosen one, moving through realms, not rooms, speaking energetically, not verbally, carrying codes, not just gifts, and holding sacred mystery without compromise. You don't need to be loud, visible, or validated to be effective. You simply are, and the world bends to your frequency, whether it realizes it or not. If this message resonated with you and you feel the power of these truths in your life, make sure you subscribe to the channel for more insights like this. Like, comment, and share this with someone who needs to remember their own divine alignment. Your presence here could be the awakening someone else has been waiting for. Stay awakened, chosen ones.